you'll see Pret now will start to come back into the slipstream. Once you get to speeds of 260, 270 kilometers an hour, the slipstream is really important. So if you can hang on and then try to pressure Carroll into a mistake, it's possible. But yeah, Adam does look the quicker at the moment for sure.
So there the Sam Smith car, who of course has managed to get past the car of Jean Danis. Jean Danis, who was raced here in the Ferrari Challenge before. We were last here at Le Mans back in 2016, I think it was. So Adam Carroll then leading for Ferrari Budapest. Then it is Louis Pret, who is in P2. So as the cars dive into the turn, then we heard from von Skiltema in the pre-show, where speeds are approaching something like 310 kilometers per hour as we see the damage there on the number 93 car of Chris Frobert. Didn't think he was going to be able to continue. That's quite a lot of damage to the front of that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite a lot of damage, potentially some radiator damage as well, so probably had no choice but to pit, and even if he didn't pit, the car wouldn't be the same out there, so it's always better. And as you say, the speeds are so high at Le Mans that you know, you want the car perfect all the time.
Now, just looking at the lap times, bear in mind these are 488 Challenge cars. The fastest lap has come from Adam Carroll, a 4 minute exactly, 1:89. They are not shabby lap times by any means, are they?
No, they're really quick. I mean, in the warm-up this morning, my quickest lap was a 3:57 in the full-blown GTE car, so it just shows how good the challenge car is, and also how good these guys are driving them around Le Mans.
I have to say, Louis Pret is being very aggressive here in terms of trying to keep with Adam Carroll, and he looked very lively going through the curves there and heading up towards the start-finish straight once again. And of course, with such a long lap and you know, the ambient, the track temperature is reasonable. Is part of this, or is the race too short to be, you know, do you have to think about what you're taking out of the tyres? Try and be super smooth, because that tyre deg towards the end of the race, as we see a replay of that awful crash earlier on. Thankfully, everyone all out of their cars, all perfectly okay. But nonetheless, not nice to see on the opening lap. So back to what I was saying with regards to tyre deg, you know, is that something that you have to be mindful of ahead of the end of the race?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's, you know, it's a 45 minute race, and Pirelli make a fantastic product, a fantastic tyre, but the stresses on the tyre here are hard. You know, you got the Porsche curves, you got a lot of high speed corner, so tyre wear will certainly become an issue. You know, you've got a lot of horsepower going through the rear wheels of these cars, so that's why you're starting to see them getting squarely off the final corner. But for Pret, he just needs to keep it tidy and use the slipstream, so he needs to be really smart.
That was a big moment there for Eric. No, that's the 186 car of Agata Smolka, the lady racer. Now, where she is, she's sort of beached in the gravel there. And this is Emanuele Tabacchi then having a go at Jan Danis. This is looking very lively. Now, this is the battle that is going on for the lead in the Trofeo Pirelli AM class at the moment. This is the number 92 car of Sam Smith. So Jean Danis and Emanuele Tabacchi. Tabacchi now ahead of Jean Danis. And Tabacchi is another one of these drivers that's come into the Ferrari Challengers now. Coming back is Jean Danis. He spotted the opportunity and went for that. So big fight between the two of these. Now, with the greatest of respect, Jean Danis has got significantly more experience than Emanuele Tabacchi, who's another. He's come through the Club Challenge and decided that he wanted to come into the Ferrari Challenge. So Club Challenge is where you're against the clock, but not really against anybody else. But there's been something of a great training exercise for him.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Same cars. They follow the European Challenge around usually with the race on the Wednesday, and it's a perfect stepping stone into the Ferrari Challenge European Series. So excellent, as it gets very close now at the front, and again Pret is really starting to hassle at him, and this is where you're going to see if a mistake will come from the Northern Irishman.
I have to say, I'm really impressed with Louis Pret here. Yeah. He's not let Adam escape up the road, has he? He has stuck with him, and we've seen how sideways he's been at times when he's really pushed, but he's absolutely determined to stay on because all it will take is a mistake from Adam, and like a viper, he'll be able to bite. But I'm not absolutely convinced we see mistakes necessarily from Adam Carroll. Now, when you see this and the lights flashing behind you, Matt, does it? I mean, all he's trying to do is just distract him for a millisecond, isn't he?
Yeah, it doesn't really work, to be honest with you. I mean, from my side, when someone flashes me, I do get a bit frustrated, but it's sometimes for the driver behind more than the driver in front.
Okay. So slow zone 9, we can see from our commentary position here because the Agata Smolka car is beached directly opposite us, and the recovery teams are on their way to get that car out. Great shame for Aggie Smolka, who's another super driver and a super addition to the Ferrari Challenge. We have just under 20 minutes of the race remaining. The recovery of the 186 car then is underway. Let me bring you up to speed then on where we're at. It's Adam Carroll. And that was nearly a huge incident.
Yeah, the slow zones. I was just thinking, it's you have to balance them. You have a next slow zone, which you have a period to reduce your speed from the high speed to 80.
So that's the period for slowdown.
And then you're in the slow zone. We try to push the limits, definitely in the Le Mans 24, and you can gain or lose a lot of time. As you can see, Adam now is leading by a second, so he gained time in the slow zone. But if you try to gain too much, you'll get a penalty. So obviously what we saw there is maybe one driver being overcautious and another driver being less cautious, and a potential incident.
And there we saw how Aggie ended up in the gravel, and it was nothing other than perhaps she just clipped a curb a little bit, lost the back end of the car, and that was what spun her around. And of course, once you're in the gravel trap does its job, doesn't it? It slows you and brings you to a stop, and generally speaking, there's no recovery from there, Matt.
No, once you're beached in the gravel, that's it, you're done. The cars have a very low ride height, so you're probably more sitting on the floor of the car than the wheels, so it's done. But you can see Adam's really profited from that slow zone.
Yeah.
He was, I guess, he's probably a little more experienced than Pret in terms of racing. It was much more aggressive probably on the entrance.
That was going to be the very point that I was going to make. He will be aware of the fact that the slow zone was coming up, and he knows how to use that to his advantage, and that's what he's done there.
Yeah, sometimes when I see a slow zone, I'm almost rubbing my hands together because I'd say this is going to be an advantage to gain some time.
So you can see the cars then in the slow zone. At this point, let me give you, there's John.
Yep, John, he's up into 34th position, so from the back of the grid, that's an amazing first part of the race for John. He's obviously passed a load of cars, and he'll be loving it in there, and the Formula Racing Ferrari is obviously going well for him, and yeah, be good to see him get up into the top 30.
Is John a good receptacle of your coaching advice?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, he's a great guy. It's difficult, you know, like most of these guys are businessmen, so they come to go racing, and it's very, very difficult thing to do. John works really hard at it, and step by step he's made massive improvements in the last couple of years, and yeah, we'll see him on the podium, that's for sure, at some point.
Well, fantastic. So Adam Carroll leading from Louis Pret, then the P1 and the P2 in terms of Trofeo Pirelli Pro. When it comes to the AMs, it's Jan Dennis and Emmanuel Tabaki. Shell drivers, James Wayland ahead of Thomas Tipple, who's running in P2. And for Shell AMs, it is Henrik Janssen ahead of Mark Fuller, the Rosso Corsa Pellin racer here from the USA. So we have 16 and a half minutes remaining in the race here. The Ferrari Challenge, we're live from Le Mans. And in support of the Le Mans 24-hour races, Adam Carroll breaks now. Louis Pret tries to just regain some of that gap that perhaps he lost during the slow zone. He is getting closer once again. So I would suggest here that either Adam is playing with him or Louis is actually looking a bit quicker now.
Yeah, Adam's car looks a bit squirrely, and Louis in the tow. He may have an opportunity down to Indianapolis on this lap, but definitely under braking particularly, Adam's car is looking less comfortable, let's say, than Louis. So it's yeah, it's definitely on here, and this is the race they want to win. You know, there's the championship, but this is the race they want to win, Le Mans.
Well, he showed his face, didn't he? He's not been able to make that move yet. Here comes Louis Pret then on Adam Carroll. Louis Pret to the inside. Good racing room left by Adam Carroll, but Louis was not able to get quite far enough alongside, was he? Yeah,
some fantastic racing there. Perfect by Adam. It left Louis the room. Louis didn't quite have the momentum to go through it, but fantastic racing by these two great drivers.
So Adam Carroll then ahead of Louis Pret. Louis Pret's father, of course, Philippe, a multi-champion in Ferrari Challenge, not only across when the old Italian series and the European series, but now, of course, racing very, very successfully in Asia Pacific. And Louis Pret, his son then, who has, whoa, you're absolutely right. The Adam car just looks a little skittish there, doesn't it?
Definitely more. It's more movement under brake, and it certainly looks less comfortable. And as a driver, what that makes you do, it makes you hold on to the brake just a little bit longer to settle the car into the corner. It looks like Louis can release the car a little bit quicker and maintain that. So yeah, with 14 minutes to go, it's going to get exciting here, I feel.
Yes, the race is still on. The race is not won yet by any means. Adam Carroll leading Louis Pret. How far behind is Sam Smith? About significantly, isn't he? I was wondering whether Sam is going to be able to get into this battle, but he's too far back. This the battle going on with Thomas Tippel and Tanny Hanna, and they're ahead of Eric Chung, of course. Eric Chung, another extraordinary racer who races in just about every region and is such a huge Ferrari enthusiast. Good to see Eric Chung back here at Le Mans. So just over 14 minutes of the race remaining then. Adam Carroll leading, and you can see under some pressure now. As those cars go side by side and go through, so there's a problem there for that car, I'm sure. That's why that car is slowing and has been relatively easily overtaken. There's 6/10 between P1 and P2. That's very visible now as we pick up those cars once again. Leading the race and leading the race in terms of Trofeo Pirelli Pro, it's Adam Carroll ahead of Louis Pret. Louis Pret, of course, the driver that put the car on pole position, so did a brilliant job in qualifying, which really must have boosted confidence. And there you can see the number 9 car of Ollie Plasman, then the gold and black liveried car. And Tanny Hanna then, who is chasing down that Thomas Tippel car. Thomas Tippel and Tanny Hanna have really broken away from Thomas O'Rourke. We can see ahead of Vibo and Eric Chung and Ollie Plasman and Ernst Kirschmeyer and von Skeltermar, who we also saw, of course, in the pre-show. So with 13 minutes of the race remaining, if you were Louis Pret, what would you be thinking now? What would your strategy be, Matt? Because he'll be very aware of the fact that whoa, as someone has gone around that looks like Tanny Hanna to me. What would your strategy be? You've seen that the Adam Carroll car is a bit loose in certain parts of the circuit.
Yeah, I think it's again planning the overtake. You know, he's probably not thinking too much about being strategic. He's probably thinking about getting past. There's 3/10 between them on the timing screens now, so it's going to be very, very close. So he's just about planning the move and then seeing where he is from there.
Well, we're seeing Thomas Tippel really drop down the order as Louis Pret once again reels in the car of Adam Carroll as they go almost side by side, Matt.
Yeah, this is Mulsanne corner, so here Louis is going to try and get a good exit, be right on the back bumper of Adam, and try again down to Indianapolis like we saw the previous lap. So this is a good overtake, and it's actually where Adam overtook him as well. So it's a good spot on the track.
Presumably, Adam's going to be aware of the fact that the overtake is likely to come, and he will be trying to... Oh, no! That's John in the number 61 car. Had he got enough? I was going to say, had he got enough? And that looks like Thomas Tippel and Tanny Hanna have gone around as well, and I suspect that was Tanny Hanna trying to overtake Thomas Tippel. But I was going to say, when John has gone into the gravel like there, he was still pointing in the right direction. The truth is there, Adam, you just... Oh, Louis Pret. Boy, he's trying. The truth is with John, he just needed to keep his foot in to try and drag out of the gravel, didn't he?
Yeah, very unlucky with John there. He had a 50-50 choice, and unfortunately the car rolled back a bit, so ended up having to drive through the gravel. Fingers crossed he got out of there. I think he did actually,
yes.
Looking on the timing screen. So yeah, he just has to regroup and get back going again, John, and try and get into the top 30. But here we have Adam and Louis going at it, hammer and tongs. Very exciting stuff.
So under braking there, you can see the Adam car looking very, very difficult to drive, and Louis is really trying to take advantage out of that, of course. But wherever Louis has put the car, Adam has made sure that he's been able to defend against it and almost anticipate when the attempted overtake was going to come. And Louis is just trying to spot where is going to be a good opportunity. And actually here at Le Mans, their opportunities are relatively rare, aren't they?
Yeah, they are rare, but Louis keeps asking the question, but Adam has the answer every time. So great,
That's a great way of putting it.
Great driving by these guys.
Oh, and now, well, that was very opportunistic, but he made it work. I didn't see that coming, Matt.
That's an amazing overtake. You barely brake for that corner. So I saw him look for a couple of laps consecutively, and that was a really good lap. He caught Adam napping. Definitely wouldn't have been expecting to do that. Now let's see if Adam can come back at him.
So what he did there, he just took him by surprise, didn't he? And that was a brilliant overtake from Louis Pret then for Formula Racing, who finds himself now, after many, many laps of trying, ahead once again of Adam Carroll. Now, Adam's not going to like this. Adam's going to try and come back at him. The final 10 minutes of this race, right at the front of the pack then, the race in the Trofeo Pirelli Pro is going to be pretty exciting. So Louis Pret now leads Adam Carroll. Sam Smith is P3 in Trofeo Pirelli Pro. In the AMS, it's Tabaki and Danis. In the Shells, it's Wayland from Eric Chung. And Shellam is Henrik Janssen ahead of Boris Gideon then. Now, we saw earlier on that it was becoming more difficult for Adam to control that car. Now, ordinarily, I would have said Louis, by virtue of the fact he was the one that was doing the attacking, he would be taking more out of his car than Adam. But actually, whilst Adam does get a bit closer under braking, Louis just looks smoother, and I think it's the car that's smoother rather than driving style necessarily.
Yeah, he has the car under him more than Adam at the moment. You know, but he's got to be careful. He's got to hit his marks. He can't outbrake himself, and he's got to really, you know, if he doesn't make a mistake, I think he can hold Adam off here, because he seems to have the car under him a little bit more. But one slight mistake, Adam will be on him, and he doesn't need a second invitation for sure.
Just from our commentary position, I can confirm that the number 61 car of John Dillon has gone through. As around goes Eric Chung in the number 198 car. So John Dillon is still running. We saw him dive into the gravel earlier on, and around also goes the 103 car of Boris Gideon. And where that car is, that's probably not returning from there, as you can see the rear wheels spinning like anything. So leading the race then is Louis Pret after a fantastic overtake on Adam Carroll just on the last lap. And now, of course, what Louis Pret needs to do is try and stick his elbows out and make the car a bit wider than it actually is to try and prevent Adam Carroll, who's got a good exit here, Matt.
Yeah, he needs to defend here, Louis. He needs to defend, because this is where Adam passed in the previous time, so he needs to force Adam to the outside, which he's done. Now, it'll be a brave move for Adam to do him around the outside of Indianapolis, but it's going to be tight. Looks like he may have got the job done. Excellent stuff here.
They are absolutely side by side. Very healthy respect between both of them here. Racing room has been left, and you said it was going to be a big ask. He'll try to keep that pressure on Louis Pret, but in fairness, he stayed with him. But as I say, good respect between the two of them. Racing room was left, and there was just, he didn't have the momentum to go by him, did he?
Yeah, very, very great driving by both. It's what I said. Louis had to defend and force Adam around the outside. Around the outside anywhere is always going to be a difficult move, but Indianapolis corner at Le Mans is one of those places where it's high commitment, so it would take a lot of courage to go around the outside there, and I think Adam thought the better of it.
So, as you can see, he is maintaining the pressure on Louis Pret. There's no question about that. But Louis is driving very well indeed. He's defending where he needs to defend, and he's doing it in a very firm but fair fashion. And therefore, he's having to make Adam work really, really hard. As hard as Louis had to work in terms of him getting past him earlier on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Dave, I can't call this. You've got more experience in the commentary booth than me, but 6 minutes ago, I have no idea who's going to get this one.
Do you know what? It is very, very close between the two of them. If I was to base it on experience, needless to say, I would say Adam, because I've known Adam a long time. He, of course, has passed his advice on to lots and lots of drivers as well. Louis is a young whippersnapper relative, but I have been so impressed with Louis' speed in the Ferrari Challenge throughout the season. He's been very, very good, but what really impresses me about Louis is that he's super smooth on track. You know, he almost has huge respect for the car, and he gets the best out of the car by being so smooth.
Yeah, it seems that. I mean, he's you know, inch perfect everywhere. So as we can slow zone now, slow zone 1, which is from the start finish line up to after Dunlop, is active, and you can see Adam is trying to hassle him there in the slow zone. Obviously, overtaking is not allowed, but once they get going again after Dunlop, the racing will resume.
Klaus Branson has got a drive-through penalty. And around goes the 103 car of Boris Gideon. We saw that earlier on, and that's the reason for the slow zone. A couple of cars being caught. Now, this is surely Adam's experience of approaching the slow zone has meant that he is right on the gearbox now of the leading car of Louis Pret. So will he be able to take advantage of this?
We'll see, because it's funny, because even in that little slow zone, the tyres lose temperature. So now as they go to the S's, they'll have a little bit less grip.
Oh, it's right ahead of us. You can't see it on screen, but around has gone the number 46 car of Chris Carell, I believe, and Henrik Janssen was involved in that also. Here we can perhaps pick that up, and that was a turn in from the Fast Toys car of Chris Carell, then on the 132 car of Henrik Janssen. And Chris Carell was able to recover from that. There we can see Sam Smith. I kind of wanted to see what Adam and Louis were up to. And even in just that small slow zone, the tyres drop in temperature sufficient to make a difference?
Yeah, definitely, because you've gone through basically the first part of the lap quite slow, and then you go straight away to high commitment S's part in Tete Rouge, so even a couple of degrees will mean you have less grip than the previous lap, but and that's where, you know, the car's different all the time.
So on the pit wall then, with merely 4¼ minutes remaining in this Ferrari Challenge race, let me bring you up to speed in terms of who's doing what and in what class. It's Louis Pret leading Adam Carroll by some 3 or very nearly 4 tenths. It's a lot less than that now, though, as we pick them up once again. And Adam is saying, right, come on, I am running out of time here. I've got to do this, Matt.
Yeah, this is amazing stuff. We can see Louis pinned on the inside of the track here again, forcing Adam to go around the outside. We've got, I guess, a lap and a half left of the race, so Adam wants this. He definitely wants this. And he's hanging out. He's hanging out. Can he do it around the outside? Excellent driving by Louis there. Excellent driving by both, actually. This is great stuff.
I have to say, fair play to both of them. They haven't even rubbed a panel, have they?
Not yet, but this time it's getting close. But again, Louis down on the inside, forcing Adam to go around the outside like he did the previous lap at Indianapolis. There will be a point where Adam will go that extra bit and take the risk and hold that outside line, but definitely not easy.
So Louis Pret to the left-hand side of your picture as Adam got this done. He's far enough ahead, but Louis is in the inside. Adam Carroll, that was the moment where he did exactly where you said he was going to just have to take a little bit more, and that was the risk, and he's done it.
Yeah, fantastic move around the outside into Indianapolis. I'll doff my cap to you, Adam, for that one. That was a good move, but it's not over yet. A lap to go as you see Adam lights up the rears on the exit of Arnage. This is great stuff.
So it's now Adam Carroll leading Louis Pret then, and these two have been ding-dong throughout the race, and it has been so respectful and just great racing between the two of them. Oh, as out goes the Tommy Lindroth car then, and Tommy Lindroth is going to be in the gravel and not returning from there, I regret to say. Oh, and also going around there. Wondered whether he's going to make contact with Tommy Lindroth, the car of Michael Simonchip, but just avoided, I think. And so now what Adam needs to do, like he needs any advice from me, is of course to gap Louis if he can.
Yeah, the slow zone is still active in Sector 1, so that's going to be really, really important for Adam to absolutely maximise the slow zone without overboard and getting a penalty. So if he can make a little bit of a gap through the slow zone to Louis, he can maybe just hang on for the win. But I want to see these guys finish 1-2 in any case, because the race has been fantastic. I want to see it end in a good way. Yeah.
And Louis is not done with this, is he? Oh, that's when you have to nail it for the slow zone. Otherwise, you do pick up a penalty, don't you? And that would be such a disservice for the way these two have raced.
For sure, and Louis done a really good job there, because he absolutely inches apart on the slow zone, so he's really maximised that. It's maybe a little also easier for the car behind, because you can judge your speed up to the guy in front in the slow zone. But as they release it, it's going to go hammer and tongs as we head back out onto the Mulsanne straight.
So it's game on, and it's not game over yet. Adam Carroll leading Louis Pret in the Trofeo Pirelli Pro. In the AMs is Jean Danis ahead of James Wayland. In terms of Trofeo Pirelli AM, it is Jean Danis who is P2. Emanuele Tabacchi is P1. James Wayland, best of the Shell drivers, ahead of von Skeltermar, P2. And then in the Shell AM, it is Laurent Damouz. He will be absolutely delighted to be leading that, ahead of Mark Fuller, who is P2. There you can see the car of Sam Smith, who's going to get a podium out of this, ahead of Vortique, providing he can stay ahead, of course. And you can see the standings ticked on the screen for you as well. And we are on the final lap of this Ferrari Challenge race, supporting the Le Mans 24 Hours.
It seems like Louis maybe made a mistake there, because he's lost a lot of time to Adam.
2.2 seconds,
yeah,
isn't
so
it?
I think maybe we saw something off camera, maybe he had a little small mistake. So as long as Adam doesn't make a mistake here, I think he'll hold on.
Do you know what I'm really looking forward to? Whoever finishes P1 and whoever finishes P2, I'm just looking forward to seeing what I hope will be huge handshakes and hugs between the two of them.
Well, there's been fantastic respect on track between the two of them, so it's been an amazing race. It's not over yet, but I think Adam's just got the advantage that he can hold it.
Well, they have delivered extraordinary entertainment for us, and fair play to both Louis Pret and Adam Carroll. Adam Carroll, of course, coming from further back on the grid. Louis Pret was the guy that put it on pole position, but the race between the two of them has been extraordinary throughout the race here at Le Mans. So there you can see the P2 car. There is P3 just coming into picture there. Sam Smith, the British driver, and it's Vortique who is running in P4 at the moment. And ahead of the Emanuele Tabacchi car. Emanuele Tabacchi, you see, is on the back of this battle, and he's done very, very well indeed, and kept it really clean and tidy, and he's been blisteringly quick. Very impressive drive from him.
Yeah, fantastic. The lap times are really comparable with the guys right up the front. I mean, on that lap, for example, he was even quicker than Pret, so an amazing job that he's been doing in this race.
So Adam Carroll then with a comfortable margin of some 2.4 seconds over Louis Pret now. And Sam Smith then, a good deal further back, which gives some indication of just how quick Adam Carroll and Louis Pret have been, because he's some 11 seconds off the lead car, but running in P3 in terms of Trofeo Pirelli. Then it's Emanuele Tabacchi is the best of the Pirelli AM drivers, ahead of Jan Dennis and Jack Brown. Shell drivers, James Wayland, who's been stuck there really for the entire race, and he'll be happy with that. He'll take the win in Shell, ahead of von Skeltermar and Ernst Kirschmeyer. And then Shell AMS will go the way of Laurent Damouz, who's so thrilled with that, ahead of Mark Fuller and Alexander Nussbaumer. So the Sam Smith car then that we can see, and there is Emanuele Tabacchi. Now, it must be tempting as a driver when you come up against other cars, but they're not in your class. It still doesn't stop you being a racing driver. You still kind of want to get past them, even though it's futile, Matt. Yeah,
for sure. That's the thing, and it's trying to temper trying to pass the car in front, because if there's a car in front, you'll want to pass him.
Yes.
But then you potentially risk your own class win. So it is a difficult one. But, you know, unfortunately, racing drivers have a lot of pride, and, you know, passing a car in the class above you is very good for the ego and the pride. So sometimes that overtakes rationale, let's say.
Okay. You're hearing it from a successful driver who still admits to trying to do that properly.
For sure, right. Definitely.
Adam Carroll then, who has done a fantastic job. He's raced an extraordinary race along with Louis Pret. He's heading towards what will be one of the most important checkered flags in the season. Adam Carroll takes the win. P1 from Louis Pret, who takes P2. Of course, slow zone 1 is still active, so they don't cross the timing line quite as fast as we would expect them to. Sam Smith will, of course, take P3 for Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli Pro. Those are the 1, 2, 3. And Emanuele Tabacchi then, who will take the win for Trofeo Pirelli AM. Some distance ahead of Jean Danis and Jack Brown, assuming it all stays that way. But it has been an extraordinary drive from Adam Carroll to take nothing away from Louis Pret, who really took it to him as well.
No, it was an amazing race. Great battles at the front and great battles the whole way through the field. You know, to see all these cars at Le Mans, a full grid of Ferrari Challenge cars is amazing, and then to have a race like that is phenomenal. I'm sure the crowd enjoyed it just as much as we did.
So we are seeing then the delight on the faces of the FF Corsa team, who of course engineered the car of Adam Carroll, and you can see Jack's father, Jack Brown's father, in there as well. Jack Brown taking a fine P3 podium in Trofeo Pirelli AM. The winner in Trofeo Pirelli AM, though, this man, Emanuele Tabacchi, who I've been extraordinarily impressed with. I felt he had really, really good pace and drove exceptionally well, so that's very, very good to see. So it is Carroll, Pret, Smith, Trofeo Pirelli Pro. For the AMS, it's Tabacchi, Danis and Brown. In the Shell drivers, James Wayland taking the win ahead of von Skeltermar, who'll be so thrilled to be on the podium, and then Ernst Kirschmeyer. And then for Shell AM, it's Laurent Damouz, who wins the race ahead of Mark Fuller. And it's going to be Alexander Nussbaumer, I think, that takes P3. Not sure they've even crossed the line yet, because it's such a long lap here, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think 16 kilometers, so it's a long lap, and that's why you can see it. I don't think they're doing a full slowdown lap. But a quick shout out to John Dillon, who from very, very last on the grid managed to get up to 28th position, even with a small trip through the gravels. That's a great drive by John, and something he should be proud of.
Yeah, well done, John. Super guy. There you can see the Chris Carell car with part of the back missing. Laurent Damouz then, who wins for Copa Shell AM. whilst we're looking at the Laurent Demoux car, we're delighted that you've been with us, Matt.
Pleasure.
You, of course, have got the 24-hour racing prospect for Clearwater.
Yep. Your
team buddies, what are your prospects? What are you thinking?
We've got a chance. We've got a chance to win the race. I mean, it's 24 hours. A lot of stuff can happen, but pace-wise, we're there. I think that we're in the good, fortunate position where for us to be podium contenders, we don't need good luck. We just need not to receive bad luck.
Sure.
Our co-drivers are strong. The car is strong. It's Clearwater Racing, which is the team supported by AF Corsa, who I've raced with since 2008, and we had a couple of issues which we were able to dial out during practice and qualifying, and I think it's going to be good. It's my 8th time at Le Mans. I've been on the podium only once, so I want to try and make it to by tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
Matt, thanks so much for being with us.
Pleasure,
it's
Dave.
so
Thank
appreciated.
you.
Very best of luck for the race, and we'll see you during the course of the season. And just keep an eye on John Dillon, because Matt passes on his inspiration to him. So here are the highlights of the race then. What an extraordinary race it was, as Björn Grossman then runs wide in his desperation to try and get up the order. A huge crash then followed on the opening lap, which took a number of drivers out and damaged the car of Björn Grossman and damaged the car of Chris Frogger. And not only that, it damaged the car of a number of drivers. There then pursued an extraordinary race-long battle in Trofeo Pirelli Pro between Adam Carroll and Louis Pret, and that would go on and on and on. Aggie Smolka found herself going round. That would create a slow zone as she was beached in the gravel and could go no further. And the number 94 car then, who perhaps did not anticipate the slow zone quite as well as one Mr. Sam Smith. Aggie Smolka then was recovered, and there you can see the 132 car of Henrik Janssen. Whichever way you looked across this extraordinary 13.626 kilometer circuit, there was lots going on, and lots of overtakes and lots of tension on the pit wall too. John Dillon had work to do in terms of avoiding that spinning car, but he did a great job in doing that, bearing in mind that John Dillon started right at the back of the pack and had to drive himself out of the gravel. But the battle between Adam Carroll and Louis Pret went on and on and on, and that was, for me, the overtake of the race, which put Louis Pret ahead of Adam Carroll. Would it stay that way till the end of the race, as we saw the 103 car of Boris Gideon spinning around, and Tommy Lindroth finding himself in the gravel as well as a number of other drivers? Well, the answer is no, it wouldn't, because Adam Carroll, all the way around the outside of Louis Pret, put himself into the lead of the race. An extraordinary drive, and a credit to each and every one of the Ferrari Challenge drivers across Trofeo Pirelli. Pirelli Am, Shell and Shell Am, they all did a fantastic job. Brilliant racing. Emanuele Tabacchi very happy. There is Adam Carroll. I spoke to him yesterday, and as is typical of Adam's character, he was very sort of, yeah, we hope, you know. Adam Carroll takes the win from Louis Pret and Sam Smith in Trofeo Pirelli Pro. In Pirelli Am, it's Emanuele Tabacchi ahead of Jan Dennis and Jack Brown. For Shell, James Wayland, Von Skeltermar and Ernst Kirschmeier. And then in terms of Shell Am, it's Laurent Demoux ahead of Mark Fuller and Alexander Nussbaumer. As confirmed now on the second page of that graphics. Brilliant stuff. Credit to Ferrari Challenge here at Le Mans. They've delivered a super race. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Really enjoyed it, and really enjoyed having Matt Griffin from Clearwater Racing, one of the competitors in the 24-hour race, alongside us as well. some beautiful impressions then of our visit to Le Mans. And a big thumbs up there from the 136 car of Alexander Nussbaumer. There is the John Dillon car. Now, we were talking about John Dillon a bit in the race because due to issues in qualifying, he started from the very, very back of the grid. A very creditable performance from John Dillon, who, of course, is coached by Matt Griffin, who we had alongside us, so it's only fair to say that. Matt, of course, racing for Clearwater Racing in the 24-hour race. We wish him well and thank him for finding time to be with us ahead as the preparations for the 24-hour race continue apace, of course. There is Martin Nelson to the very left-hand side of your picture there. Good to see Martin Nelson, who's going to attend the podium. Sadly, he was out of the race very early on as we take some more images of this extraordinary Le Mans place. So the car's all in the pit lane, as you can see, and the podium is looking very impressive indeed. They're the 134 car of Alex Fox, who didn't see much of in the race, but to be fair, with such a long lap, some 13.626 kilometres, it's difficult to keep track of everyone on track. Gaps between them, absolutely huge, of course, but Adam Carroll is going to be on the top step of the podium for Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli Pro. On the top step for AM, it's going to be Emanuele Tabacchi. On the top step for Shell, it'll be James Wayland, and on the top step for Shell AM, it's going to be Laurent Demouse. So from our vantage point here, at the Ford turns, or Ford curves, we can see the Ferrari Challenge cars making their way back to their paddock area, which is some way away from the Ferrari paddock with regards to the 24-hour races. So that's why you're seeing the cars going what is effectively the wrong way down the pit lane as they make their way back to their own paddock. All the information, of course, at races.ferrari.com. So we take some more emotions from what has been a fantastic weekend here at Le Mans. Well, on track, it is the track sweeper. There you can see some fluid has gone down there, so that's being sorted out. So we just await the podium, and a big thank you to the huge number of marshals, of course, that ensure that the 24-hour race and the support races here at Le Mans. A huge, huge army of volunteers that help out, and a huge crowd here as well. And there, the podium being ready, we can see the cameramen making their way onto the podium, and there, just a very small element of the team working very, very hard. And drivers, there is Philippe Pret, father of Louis Pret. You can see there with the scarf on and the black top, and clearly a part of the scarf became attached to the fact that Philippe hadn't shaved this morning, which I think is most unbecoming. So he will be seeing his son, Louis, on the second step of the podium. Of course, we would have been hoping for a win for him, but you cannot take anything away from the way those two raced during the course of this race. The trophies are standing by. All we need now is the drivers. Some of the images looking at there from earlier in the season. There is Ernst Kirschmeyer. And Alexander Nussbaumer on his way then towards the podium now. So this is the, I was going to say it's the, which order the podium is going to come in, because as you can see, we've got 4 drivers there. We're going to do the whole lot at the same time. There is Louis Pret, who should be very, very proud of what he did, because it was extraordinary racing in Trofeo Pirelli Pro. So there you can see Ernst Kirschmeyer, Jack Brown, and there is von Skeltermar. So what we're doing is, from every class then, we're putting the drivers on the steps that's appropriate. So for Pirelli, you've got Sam Smith, Jack Brown, Ernst Kirschmeyer, and Alexander Nussbaumer. For P2 in every class, you've got Louis Pret, Jan Dennis, von Skeltermar, and Mark Fuller. And then the winners in Pirelli, Pirelli Am, Shell, and Shell Am. You're going to see them all. There is Laurent Damouz, absolutely thrilled with that win here at Le Mans. And he makes his way to the top step of the podium. He took the Shell Am win, and you can see the delight. And there, Emanuele Tabacchi then taking the Pirelli Am top step of the podium. James Wayland is there, who's the Shell winner. And then, of course, we're just waiting for Adam Carroll, who comes in from the left-hand side of the picture now. And so we have the 1, 2, 3 in each of our classes on the podium here at Le Mans. So anthem play out then, baseball caps go back on, and it is time for trophy presentations. A big number of trophies, of course, to be presented. And handshakes all round then. Jack Brown receives his trophy. Sam Smith with his. 2 British drivers together there. Alexander Nussbaumer and Ernst Kirschmeyer all receiving their trophies. Antonello Caletta here, the head of GT Sporting Activities for Ferrari, to make trophy presentations now. Jan Dennis receives his, and Mark Fuller von Skeltermar. And Louis Pret receiving his trophy. So second place trophies, all delivered by Mr. Antonello Caletta, head of GT Sporting Activities, and Chief Marketing and Commercial Officer then from Ferrari, Enrico Galliera, is here to make trophy presentations as well. Had the opportunity to speak to him yesterday, and such a big weekend for Ferrari, of course, not only with the Ferrari Challengers. Emanuele Tabacchi receives his trophy. James Wayland receives his. Adam Carroll will receive his. And, of course, in addition, there you can see Laurent Damouz receives his trophy. that will take pride of place on Laurent's mantelpiece, I feel sure. So absolutely brilliant. Well, an extraordinary race as the Pirelli trophies are presented as well across all classes. An extraordinary race from the Ferrari Challenge here in support of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. All the trophies up high then, and stand by for the champagne to be uncorked and sprayed liberally across the podium. Everyone in for the photographs, and what a great shot that is of what has been a super advertisement for how good the racing is in Ferrari Challenge. And we're so pleased that you've been part of it and part of it with us, as the Louis Pret was by far and away the quickest with the champagne, closely followed by Laurent Damouz. So they celebrate up there on the podium after what has been a very, very big weekend for the Ferrari Challenge. Sam Smith just gets a good old lug of it rather than spraying too much of it. Well done, Sam. I have to say, Ernst Kirchmayr appears to have received more than many else. So coming soon then in the Ferrari Challenge.
Eiffel, technical. Wunderbar, old school. Nürburgring.
Nürburgring. It's where we are next. Really looking forward to that. It's a very different challenge, of course, to that they've experienced here at Le Mans. What a season in the Ferrari Challenge. In terms of the classifications then, let's bring them to you in full. Adam Carroll, Louis Pret, Sam Smith, the top three in Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli Pro. Ahead of Ortiq and Froggatt and Grossman, Neubauer and Nicolo Schiro. That's Trofeo Pirelli Pro. In terms of Trofeo Pirelli Am, it was Tabaki, the head of Danis, Brown, Roca, Vibo, Zibranson, Plasman. Frederick Espersen, good showing from Frederick, ahead of Christian Overgaard. They both raced for the Forza Racing team. Eric Marston then P10 in terms of Trofeo Pirelli Am. So the two classes in Trofeo Pirelli. In terms of Copichel, then James Wayland leading Fons Skeltermar and Ernst Kirchmayr. Ahead of Tani Hanna, Christian Kinch, Thomas Dippel, Guy Four, Murat Kuhardaruglu, Eric Chung and Ken Abe. They were the top 10 in terms of Shell drivers. And Shell Am then completing our classifications of top 10s. Laurent Damouz taking the win from Mark Fuller, Alexander Nussbaumer, Alex Fox, Moser, Palkra, Vibo, Matson, Falholt, and Al Heggie then rounding out the top 10 in terms of Shell Am. Well, the race was so good. The weekend has been so good. Drivers' Championship, Louis Pret then on 92 points ahead of Sam Smith on 80 and Nicolo Schiro then on 74 points. Adam Carroll, though, keep an eye on him on 53 points, running in P4 at the moment. But, of course, this weekend will have done his points all the world of good and propelled him into that P4 place. In terms of Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli Am, we have Emanuele Maria Tabacchi on 110 points, just 3 ahead of Jack Brown, and that's changed here. And then Jan Danis P3 and Frederick Espersen leading Christian Overgaard by 1 point now. That'll be a fun conversation. P4 and P5. So we're taking a run through the Drivers' Championship points. Tani Hanna leads the Shell Drivers' points ahead of Ernst Kirchmayr, and Christian Kinch is P3. Chung is 4th, Wayland 5th. Bear in mind that he's a visitor into the European Series on occasions, not doing a full campaign in Europe. And then Laurent Damouz is leading the Shell Am Driver Championship on 110 points ahead of Henrik Janssen and Agatha Smolka. So running through all the Drivers' Championship boards for you. And, of course, Ferrari receiving huge support here at Le Mans. Not only, of course, for the Ferrari Challenge, but, of course, for the Ferrari competitors in the 24-hour race. Well, the race was so very good, we feel that we should show you the highlights once again, this time to music.